What's going on, family? Grace and peace. This is your host, Javon Blue, on the Kingdom Talks podcast, where we're going to be talking about God, business, trading, manhood, marriage, and all the real stuff that's happening out there. So listen, sit back, relax, open up your Bibles, open up your notebooks, whatever you got to do, and let's get it. Sheesh, let's go. What up? What's going on, Kingdom family? Man, we are on another episode of the Kingdom Talks podcast, and I'm your host, Javon Blue. And as I always say, I'm excited to be giving you guys another episode of information, wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, right? So listen, if this is your first time listening to the Kingdom Talks podcast, I welcome you with the love of God, with the love of Christ. And I pray that, the Holy Spirit really gives you what it is that you need and what it is that you're looking for and more. Jesus said, I have come so that they may have life and have it more abundantly. I believe that life can be given, right? Or given more through wisdom, right? Once you start getting wisdom, once you start getting knowledge, I believe that you can live a different life through information, wisdom, understanding, however way you want to put it. So family, listen, let's get into this episode. This one is going to be about oil, right? The oil industry. Now, I said, on last episode, I want to talk about this. I just want to do a separate episode. I mentioned it, or skimmed through it last episode pertaining to some stuff, but wanted to make a specific episode for you guys so that we can definitely get into some information that I think a lot of people need to hear, because you can gain understanding from something, right, that can really bring clarity to you. And I believe that when you understand markets, that is where you can start to create extra streams of income. Right. A lot of people say, well, I don't know what business to start. I don't know what to do this. I don't know what, I don't know. Right. And it's OK that you don't know, because even in your not knowing, that provides you the awareness for you to be able to want to seek. Right. Seeking, knocking, going out to search for wisdom, going out to search for understanding is a great place to be, because through it, now you can start making some moves. Right now, you can start making some moves. So this episode is going to be about, let's just talk about oil and gas. Right. A lot of people are still affected by the gas prices. A lot of people don't understand the oil industry. They don't know what happens behind the scenes and this, that, and the third. So they blame anybody that they can see. Right. So I want to dive into some stuff. Not going to be a long episode, but I just want to give my introduction of it. Talking about oil, gas prices, what's going on out here. And listen, I'm not going to say everything, but this is an open window for you. This is a door for you to basically walk into. I say this all the time. When people are buying courses and everything, the course that you buy or information that you get, YouTube videos that you watch, books that you read, they are never the end all be all. Right? Information is everywhere. So you may just need open door information. You may need groundbreaking information. You may need next level information. But I need you to understand that your journey of life should always be to keep on becoming better at whatever it is that you're trying to do. Right? So life isn't about acquiring more, but it is about becoming more. So I want you guys to start becoming investors. I want you guys to start becoming traders, right? And how do you become that? You start to put on the mindset, right, that you are, right? Becoming has to do with identity. So if you already are saying to yourself, listen, man, I would love to learn this, be in the mindset of becoming it, meaning, you know what? I'm a trader. I'm an investor. And what that does is now your mind should say, hey, what do investors do in the morning? What do traders do in the morning? Right? What do business owners do in the morning? What do, you want to go to college? What do college students do now? Right? You have to start putting your mindset there. So let's talk about oil and gas real quick, man. I got some questions here, just basic questions for people, and we're just going to go through them. So, the first question is, people probably ask, what is oil and why does it matter? Right? And I'm going to say this right now. Oil is energy, right? Oil is energy, right? So when we're looking at oil, man, we're talking about one of the top commodities that are globally used, right? Whatever country that you're in right now, right? Because I got some viewers in other countries. Shout out to y'all. But listen, guys, whatever country that you're in right now, right? You're probably using oil, right? I'm going to say 9.99% out of 10, you're probably using oil, right? And that oil could be for your household. That oil could be, for fuel, which is for our gas. That oil could be, people who got landscaping businesses, they use gas for, the motors and different stuff like that. So it is one of the top commodities, right? Now, when you're talking about oil and when you're talking about water, right? H2O, you're talking about coffee, right? You're talking about corn. These are things that are globally used, right? But oil is energy, right? I need you guys to understand that. And with energy, guess what? Other avenues on this earth or beings are going to need it, right? So we have cars, we have factories, we have all this different type of stuff that needs this energy to function, right? So that is why it is such a big deal and why it matters, because I guarantee you can look right outside your house right now and see people running off of energy, right? Whether it's natural energy, whether it's, in the ground energy from the earth, right? Even when you're jogging out there, that is still energy. This is why you have to fuel your body a certain way so that you can give off the good energy. And this is going to get into what it is that I'm talking about. But I want you to equate oil, right? That type of energy with the energy that you need to fuel your body so that you can function throughout the day. So that is why it matters. Oil is energy. And it matters because it is a globally used, macro thing that a lot of people use on a day-to-day basis, right? So like I said, how is it used? You can use it for cars, you can use it for real estate, you can use it for et cetera, right? It is something that every person uses. So when we're talking about the country that I'm in today, right? Well, not in today, but the country that I live in, right? Whatever country that you live in, shout out to y'all. But I live in the United States of America. Amazing, amazing country. It has its faults, but overall, everybody can say they are living comfortable up in here. So let's ask the question, how much does the U.S. consume per day when it comes to oil, right? So when I looked this up, I said, you know what? I know it's an astronomical number, but what is that number exactly, right? So we're talking about 20 plus million barrels a day the U.S. consume in oil, right? And this is why when we start looking at things, right, when we start looking at trades, right, when we start looking at history, right, and what happened, what people go over, what people get into wars over, they get into wars over this stuff. Right. I'm an advocate. Hey, listen, 9/11 was some bull crap. We ain't go over there for no weapons. We went over there for oil, all that type of stuff, man. All that terrorism nonsense, that's man-made to me. Right. Anytime you start seeing terrorism, that's somebody out here trying to do fear tactics. But the overall goal is money. So when we're looking at that, when I start getting into, okay, so what countries really, import and export oil, right? Who consumes the most? What's going on? Oil means big, big money, right? That is all it means when we're talking about other countries and we're talking about trading and we're talking about different stuff like that, where countries are becoming allies because of certain things, right? So when we're looking at that, the United States consume about 20 plus million barrels a day. Right. So how much is that used for cars? So like the car that you're driving right now, if you're not driving a Tesla, you're not driving a Ford, electric car, you're not even driving a Porsche electric car, whatever the case may be, whoever is out there getting it. If you're not driving that, that means that you are stopping at your local gas station to get oil. So how much is used for cars? Right. So about 40%, right? About 40% of the oil that we take in, right, as far as barrels per day, right, 40% of that is used for cars, right? So that's about 9.1 million a day is used for your car. So when we're talking about 20 plus million barrels a day is being being imported to the US, right? 40% of that is for your car, right? And I'm laying down this foundation so you guys can understand why this is so powerful. And this is just one country. Like, we are just the US. What about all of the other countries, the continents that are out there that are producing this, and they need it, right? So this is why I'm saying oil is energy, but it's one of the top commodities that are out there because it literally moves the entire world, right? It moves the entire world. So, there are people that say, well, hey, listen, Javon, I hear all that, right? I hear what's going on. And I see what's going on with the Russia situation. When Russia invaded Ukraine, gas prices really shot up. Like that really became a huge factor for a lot of people. And then on top of that, our country were dishing over billions of dollars to Ukraine. And it's like, so we got high gas prices, we got high food prices, and we got all this other stuff going on. Right. So when you start to look at that, man, I completely understand how you feel, but we got to put this into context. When we're talking about oil, right, we're talking about different countries that have access to oil, right? And they basically sell it to other countries. This is how we make the world go round, basically. Right. So the whole world is literally like at this huge business table doing deals based on the oil. So who has the best oil, who has the best, the sweetest oil, refined, all this different type of stuff. But a lot of people be like, instead of us, caring about what's going on in Russia and how that affects our gas prices, our oil lines and different stuff like that, why don't the US just produce their own oil? Right? Why don't they just, people like, don't we got oil somewhere out in Texas or something like that? And listen, I'll be the first one to be like, yes, we do. Yes, we do. Right? We do have our own oil. America still has richness within the soil. Right? We're not just this land that just, can't produce anything. Right? The problem is it a priority? And that's really what it is. Right? So when we're talking about that, right, I want you guys to understand this, right? And I got this from an article. I forgot. I don't know if it was Bloomberg or somebody else, but they were writing, and they said overseas oil, right, even after shipping costs, is often cheaper than domestically produced crude, right? Crude is basically oil, family. And that is because what oil people call lifting costs, the cost of actually getting the oil out of the ground, are so much lower in some other countries. Then we have to talk about the land and then the leasing prices plus labor and all that different type of stuff, right? So I just wanted to point out to you guys, right, the reason why we get so much oil from overseas is simply because, number one, the cost of it, right? It is cheaper labor wise, land wise, and different stuff like that. It's cheaper to get it from overseas than to do it in our own backyard, right? In our own backyard, because oftentimes just because you have oil, that doesn't mean that, it's good oil, right? So you have to start to understand that there's a lot of factors that come into play, right? So it's all about the type of oil that you have. Right. It's not about, I got oil in my backyard. Let me put it in my car. Nah. Right. It's all about the type of oil. So the thing that we're looking at for the US, we're not producing the right type of oil. Not saying that it's wrong or right. It's not the right type of oil that we need to, fuel our cars over and over and over and over again. Right. So when we're looking at crude oil, right. So crude oil is graded by weight and like sweetness, basically. Right. So the weight matters because that comes into the refining process of it, or, it being broken down. So refining is basically saying, hey, listen, how does this thing break down? How does this oil break down in a way where, we can use it, right? We can use it for our cars, for our buildings, our factories, different stuff like that, right? And then also you have to measure it by, far as the sweetness of it, right? So the better the sweetness, the less sulfur will be in it, right? So when we're talking about the refining process of oil, you have companies that are already doing this, that are already making it happen, and they have they have lighter oil instead of heavier oil, right? That's a whole different subject. But honestly, man, listen, we as a country is we're totally dependent on imports from other countries. Right? We're totally dependent, our whole framework is to just make deals with other countries. And I'm not saying that's bad, but at some point we have to get back as America. And this is where I truly believe where Trump was coming from, when it comes to making America great again. Right? When he's talking, let's build our own stuff. Let's dig our own stuff, right? Let's give American people back jobs and different stuff like that. Because when we're talking about this, a lot of what we did was because it's cheaper, right? How many of you looking at your shirts, looking at your bottles, looking at different, stuff that you have in your house right now, and it says made by China, made by Venezuela, made by Pakistan, and all these different other countries, right? Now, like I said, I'm not saying it's wrong, but at some point, when are we going to lead in creating our own stuff, right? So we as a country is totally dependent on imports from other countries simply because we don't feel like putting in the work towards our own energy to make it better and also fitting for the American people, right? We don't want to put in that work. Why? Because it's going to be time. It's going to be money. Right. And guess what? I don't know. Congress, maybe they don't feel like doing all that. Right. So when we're looking at that, a lot of people would say, well, this is why, we got to get Biden out. This is why we got to get Trump out. This is why you see Barack Obama should have never been in there. And, Bush should have never been. Listen, this ain't got nothing to do with no single president. It has to do with all of them. It's not about, one president, this what happened and look at what's going on. Nah, it's all of them. It's all the presidents in Congress, right? It's all of them, right? So when we're looking at over the last 50 years, basically, right, we have not prioritized reducing America's independence on other countries. So this is why Russia goes over to Ukraine. And that affects us. Why? Because we get oil from Russia, right? Now, not no more because, President Biden did the ban situation. But I want you guys to understand, because a lot of people be like, well, why did the Russian war affect us, right? Why did the Russian war affect American people, right? And why did it affect other countries as well, right? Because, truth be told, and I'm just speaking for my country, right? Russia is part of the 5 countries that we get our oil from, right? Russia is part of the 5 countries that we get our oil from, right? So when we're looking at that's big right there. That's big. Cause then you see our president, right? Talking to Putin crazy and this, that, and the third. And, he threatened Putin. Hey, listen, man, you do this, you invade Ukraine, then, listen, NATO, we're going to up our, elevate our restrictions and this, that, and the third. And we're definitely going to give some force to this. Then, Biden started doing, sanctions and, different stuff like that. So this is what we see. So I want you guys to understand this stuff. Like I said, I'm just giving you a foundation of what it is that you can build on. Right. So when we're talking about, why did, the Russian war affect us? Right. It's simply because of this. It's part of the 5 countries that we get our oil from, which affects our gas prices. So if we sanction Russia and we don't get gas from them anymore, not saying that we can't get oil right? Because we still have other countries that we can go off of, but it still affects us in a way because of the type of oil that Russia has, right? So when we're talking about the 5 countries, I want you guys to write this down if you're listening to it, right? So we got Canada, right? We get oil from Canada. 51% of our imports, as far as like our gross imports, 51%, right, comes from Canada. So a large part of where we get our oil from is Canada, right? And this is why, we can still function. We could do that as well. 8% comes from Mexico, right? 8% comes from Mexico. 8% comes from Russia. 5% comes from Saudi Arabia, and about 2%, 1 point something, 2% comes from Colombia, right? So those are like the 5, the 5 countries that, the United States basically get their petroleum from, right? So when we're looking at that, right, and this was last year, obviously this has increased, right? Simply because, Russia is not even in there anymore, right? So when we're looking at that, man, I need you guys to understand this in a way that, this plays a huge part in your gas prices, right? Because going back to what I said, when we're measuring oil, family, we got to measure it by weight. We're talking about the sweetness of it. So how is it refined, right? Is it good? Is it light? So this stuff makes sense, right? So when we have other countries that are doing what it is that they're doing, right, it can affect us in a way because we import a lot of our oil, basically everything, right? So basically, our how we get gas and everything is solely dependent on other countries. And this is what so many people be like, listen, man, we got to prioritize this, because if we don't, that means that, America is going to be in a very, very tough spot right now. You have, I would even say this. You have, something called like OPEC, right? So OPEC was formed because of what United States was doing. Like they are like the top controllers of, the top producers of, oil, right? They just consume so much and this, that, and the third. So for those people that don't know what OPEC is, it is basically the organization of the petroleum exporting countries, right? So OPEC is like an intergovernmental organization of like 13 countries, right? The crazy thing about it, it was founded in like 1960 in Iraq, somewhere out there, and they like meet in like Austria, but Austria is not even a part of OPEC. I don't even know why they go out there. But anyway, you got these 13 countries that are united, right? It's countries, I don't know all of them, but Saudi Arabia is in there, Nigeria, you got Angola, Algeria, United Arab Emirates, Venezuela, the Congo is out there, and like other countries, Iraq, Iran, different countries like that. So, OPEC basically was formed because, they seen America really just like controlling so much, right? So when we're looking at that, the reason why they say, you know what? We're gonna form something so that we can have some control over this oil thing. And I want you guys to really understand that it is literally a huge deal when it comes to oil, because like I said, it is energy, and it literally controls so much of people's lives and people's businesses and different stuff like that, right? So OPEC is basically, that organization that controls petroleum production, supplies, and prices in the global market. And that is why they formed what it is that they formed. Now, going past that, like, you guys could look that up. You guys can definitely get into that. I want to speak about what happened yesterday, right? Now, I'm making this podcast Wednesday, July 6th, but I want to speak about what happened to the oil industry that happened yesterday, right? What was the news that was going on? Now, if you're following it, you've seen that, oil stocks, so like Exxon, Chevron, like different companies like that, shell companies, it dropped down crazy. Like we talking, family, we talking like oil was, let me pull up my chart right now, because I got the chart out, right? We talking about like oil was like at 112. It opened up at $112 a barrel. That junk dropped down literally close to like $98, I believe, right? Around $98, $99. Oil dropped down. Like it went straight to the abyss, right? Now, when you see stuff like that, right? For my traders out there, let me talk to my traders out there, right? When you see stuff like that, this is what we call fundamental analysis, right? When your technicals on the charts is acting a certain way, like you just see these bear markets, it's going straight down. You see no green, no bullish, nothing. You just see the market dropping. There's some news that is out there that is happening that you should definitely be aware of, right? Part of the news, right? Let me see if I could find what happened. Let me see if I can find what happened basically yesterday, right? Because yesterday we had some news happen where, trying to see if I could find it, family. If I can't find it, I'ma just say what it is. So basically, I forgot what country it was, but basically the workers was like, yeah, we're gonna go on strike because we not feeling how much y'all paying us. Right? So I forgot, what was it, Norway or something like that. Man, this thing is killing. I think it was Norway, right? Oh yeah. So the oil and like gas fields, right, were affected by Norway strike, right? So they went on this strike yesterday, basically said, we're not doing nothing, right? And that literally drove the market down. Like that type of news started driving the market down. And of course, recession scares and different stuff like that. But I wanted you guys to understand that there was a strike that was going on as well, where, workers was just basically saying, hey, listen, we not doing this because we need more pay. We need more of what's going on. Right. So stuff like that affects the news, right? Stuff like that affects the news. Sometime last week, right, we seen India, right? So when we're looking at Russia, we know Russia's doing what it is that they're doing. And, Biden got his views on that, right? But the two countries that are basically Russia's like huge, basically customers, like their best customers at this point, is India and China, right? So India and China are now the biggest consumers of Russian oil right now, right? So when we're looking at that, last week, India became a part of that equation, which did the market good. It drove the market up where, last week we got some bullish momentum from that move that basically happened, right? So when we're looking at information like that, that is your fundamental analysis, which is your news that drives the market in a certain way. Right? So as you start to learn how to become a trader, you need to know your technical analysis, but you also need to know your fundamental analysis. Get understanding of both, right? So going into this, right, we see what's happening today. Oil prices are basically bouncing back up, right? We had a scare. I believe that it's probably still going to drop back down as I'm looking at the daily chart right now. But I want to get into this because this will do you guys good as well. This is when you can start trading the market. A lot of people, like I keep saying on my podcast, is that, most people who listen think that, because it's a bearish market, meaning all they see is things dropping, all they see is the market dropping down. They think that, they can't make money. But that's coming from an investor standpoint. And the investor standpoint is basically saying, hey, listen, I invested my money in this certain, avenue. why am I not seeing returns from it? So when you're looking at that, I need you guys to understand, as a trader, when you start to hear, hey, listen, man, oh, India has added, as a customer to Russian oil. Okay, how should I react off of that as a trader in the market? Oh man, somebody in the gas fields, the oil industry, they're all going on strike. I think I need to react off of that. I think I need to sell some stuff. Why? Because it might be backed up for a day. Now, they came to a conclusion on that, because if it would have kept on going, I believe they're not on strike anymore. They came to a conclusion, but they were talking about talks that if it was to basically, like, if they were on strike until like Saturday, like till the weekend, that literally would have affected how many barrels are going out a day. And we already know how much America is consuming based off the countries that they're getting their oil from. So family, when we're talking about that as a trader, I need you guys to understand that all this information that is going on out here affects your money in the market. But if you're on the right side of the market based off the information that is going out, it can also benefit you. Right? It can be beneficial to you. So family, listen, like I always say, start getting knowledgeable on this stuff, right? I know I said a lot. I know I said some stuff, but this is the type of stuff that you research. This is the type of stuff that, listen, if you want to become a trader, you want to become an investor, you got to do some reading. You got to do some studying. But most of all, listen, hook up to a course. You guys already know I got my own skill sets over Paychex fundamental trading course. For those people that want to learn how to trade, hit me up, DM me on Instagram, hit me up on Facebook at Javon Blue, right? Find me on YouTube at Javon Blue, right? Reach out to me and say, hey, listen, man, I love your podcast. I love where it is that your mind is going. Let's team up, and I would love to learn how to trade. Listen, man, I love teaching people this market, and as I'm learning, I love giving. Right? I don't believe that, people should just keep knowledge stored up in them. Right? I believe certain knowledge is for certain people at different levels, but I don't believe knowledge should just be given to one person. So family, listen, man, I love you guys. I pray that you guys really get the understanding that you need to make the money for you and your families, bro. Like, it's a lot going on out here, right? A lot of families are struggling. A lot is going on, but that doesn't mean that you have to be a part of that. If you use the rest of this year, right, the next up and coming months, if you use them to gain knowledge, wisdom, and understanding in a particular area that you want to make your expertise, I promise you, your life would never be the same again. Right? Your life would never be the same again. Hook up with some good people that know what it is that they're talking about and make it happen for you and your families. Right? So guys, with that being said, I love you with the love of Christ. Go out there and win, right? Go out there and grow, dominate, and let's build wealth the Kingdom way. See you guys on the next episode. Let's get it. Yo, what up, Kingdom family? Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. Listen, I want you to hit the block, hit up your job, hit up your family, your campus, your friends, whatever the case may be. Send them this episode. Let them know what we got going on. And I will see you guys on the next one. Let's get it.